Welcome in everyone, this is Jordan with Ravens Flash Report, and today I'll be giving you all my breakdown on who I believe are the top 5 teams in each conference. This is my personal list, and even though I try to use metrics like stats, strength of schedule, win-loss record, that sort of thing, at the end of the day, each teams have those immeasurables like momentum, grit, and sometimes even luck. That being said, you may disagree with the teams on my list or the order of my list, and that's great, because I love a good discussion and listening to different viewpoints. So, if you disagree or you want to share your top 5s, put them in the comments below. And without further ado, let's get to it.
They're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that. I'm a Raven. It's on. All year. Every year.
So, as I am mainly a Ravens content creator and fan, I'll be starting with the NFC teams, followed by the AFC teams, because I felt the NFC teams were a little more clear-cut, in my opinion, on what order they went in, and the AFC teams not quite so much. But let's go ahead and get into it. My number 5 for the NFC teams, the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle has had a bit of a bumpy ride this season, losing their opener to a Cooper Kupp-less Rams team, then beating the Detroit Lions in OT, and then most recently being run out of Baltimore on a rail. In all of their losses, they couldn't quite get their run game going. But when they did get hot, they are a great team with solid weapons and a quarterback who has stepped up for this franchise and has them sitting tied at the top of the division with the 49ers. They have some stiff competition left this season, including 2 games against the Niners, as well as 3 other teams in the NFC East, not named the Giants. Number 4, Dallas Cowboys. So this team is a bit of an enigma to me, as their numbers overall speak of a very good offense and a fantastic defense. But they just seem to fall apart at the worst of times, it seems. They steamroll opponents they're supposed to, like the 40-0 win over the Giants in Week 1, or the 38-3 win over the New England Patriots in Week 4, but when they face division leaders, they can't quite figure it out. They obviously lost badly to the 49ers in the 42-10 rout, but the loss to Philadelphia, that was a huge opportunity for them to take the lead in a divisional matchup. This team has loads of talent all over the place, but if it can't make it past teams like the Cardinals without losing their way, I don't think a deep playoff run is going to be in their future. Number 3, San Francisco 49ers. So San Fran came out as hot as any team in the NFL, going 5-0 without seemingly hitting any roadblocks or hazards, only to lose the last 3 games straight against a PJ Walker-led Browns team, a then 2-4 Vikings team, and a Bengals team that seems to be getting its act together. Despite the skid, this 49ers team is still tied for the division lead, a testament to their talent and potential in a 2-team division. And if they can get their mojo going again after last week's bye and get their guys ready for the second half of a difficult schedule, they have a chance of getting a high seeding come playoff time. Number 2, Detroit Lions. Other than an overtime loss early to a good Seattle team and the beatdown that most did not see coming when they visited the Baltimore Ravens, this Detroit team is a legit threat for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Beating Kansas City to open the season and bouncing back with a resounding victory over the Raiders has shown me this is a mentally tough team that should have little trouble down the stretch after getting past this bye week. As far as I see, the only challenges they have left are a difficult 3-game stretch at the end of the season, with Dallas sandwiched between 2 Vikings games. Having a very balanced offense and defense with weapons on both sides gives this Lions team a chance for a deep playoff run, and I'm sure their aims are focused on a Super Bowl appearance at this point. Number 1, Philadelphia Eagles. At 8-1 with their only loss coming to an AFC opponent, they're locked into the driver's seat of the NFC currently, but there is potential trouble ahead for this NFC juggernaut. The next 5 games are going to test this team's mettle. At Kansas City, then the Bills, the 49ers, at Dallas, and then up in Seattle. Their defense this season has not been as sure as it was a year ago, but their offense is keeping their head above water. If they can make it through these next 5 games with at least a 3-2 record, I believe this will end up being the best team in the NFC. Again. Now on to the AFC, where I do have an honorable mention before we get into the top 5, because the Cleveland Browns, or the Cleveland Hats as my 3-year-old calls them, they have half a great team, that being their defense. If not for a rotating door at quarterback, and even when Watson has been in, he's been a bit unstable, or the loss of Chubb in Week 2, this team may be in a better position, but as it stands right now, they're not a better team than the one that I have in the number 5 spot, the Miami Dolphins. Miami is even more of an enigma than the previous enigma, Dallas Cowboys, in that they have, by the stats, one of the best, if not the best, offense in the league. But that's why we look past the numbers, because if I took out the insane Denver game that we all remember and thought was a college game based on the score, and their points per game went down from 31.7 to 26.87, which would still be fourth best. So never mind. They do still have an insane offense. So why are they down in number 5? Because they haven't beaten a team with a winning record at all this season. They've beaten up on the Broncos, the Giants, the Panthers, and the Patriots, which have a combined record of 8-27, while losing to the Bills, Eagles, and Chiefs, who have a combined record of 20-7. The good thing is, as it stands, only 3 opponents left have a winning record on their schedule, and those are the last 3 games of the season: Dallas, Baltimore, and the Bills again. The offense is great, but it needs to be great against great teams too. Number 4, Cincinnati Bengals. Or again, as my 3-year-old calls them, the Tiger Bees. Which, I can see it. Anyway, this is a team that, at the start of the season, looked more like they forgot how they won the division the last 2 years. But now that Burrow is starting to look healthy, they have begun to pick up some steam. Not having a win in the division does hurt them record and seeding-wise, but luckily for them, they've only played 2 divisional games and still have 4 left to improve that record. Now, they already had their bye week, so there is no break for them going forward, but that might be a good thing because not only did they get some much-needed rest for the team and Burrow especially, they also had 9 games left and 8 of them are against AFC teams, which, if they play as good as they have been over the past 4-game win streak, they can gain some ground in the conference and have a shot at a playoff spot, or maybe even a shot at the division title. Number 3, Jacksonville Jaguars. This placing may or may not surprise some people because I've seen people putting the Jags at the number 6 spot in the AFC, which is entirely too low, and I've seen them also put them at number 2. So I'm going to attempt to give my quick reasoning for them being at the 3rd spot. Other than their loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, they've scored at least 17 points in every game and over 20 in every win, so they have the offense. And other than a shellacking that they got from the Houston Texans, they haven't allowed more than 24 points on defense, so they're solid there too. Not to mention that they're on one of the hottest win streaks in the league with 5 wins in a row. So, why not higher than 3? I hear you cry out as you drop to your knees, shaking your fist to the heavens. Well, kind of for the same reason I couldn't put the Dolphins any higher. They're in a weak division, and they still got beat by the Texans in their first matchup. They barely beat the Steelers in Week 8 and looked really sloppy the whole game. With a defense that gives up too many air yards, I don't know if this mediocre defense can keep the better-than-mediocre offense afloat through the rest of the season, with matchups including the 49ers, the Texans again, the Bengals, and the Ravens left to face. They will make the playoffs for sure if they stay healthy, but they may need more firepower once they face some better defenses coming their way. Number 2, Baltimore Ravens. So yes, I have the Ravens as the second best team in the AFC, and for those fans of other teams getting mad about it, I have one thing to say. The Ravens would probably beat your team, and you know it. The Ravens are on a 4-game win streak that include a trip to London, a 5-1 Detroit team that was on fire, a trip out to Arizona, then back home again to face another division leader in the Seahawks. During that stretch of games against great teams and travel, the Ravens outscored their opponents 130-49. And they're doing all of this without doing anything beyond what each player is capable of doing. There's nobody that's having a ridiculous season or going above and beyond every single game. This is just every player doing their job as best as they can, game in and game out, and stacking wins and consistent performance that elevates each other on both the offense and the defense, making them extremely dangerous on both sides of the ball. They have also shown some inconsistencies later in games, letting some teams back in when they should have been able to close the door on them, and that habit could come back to bite them in the butt if it happens in the postseason. What is undeniable is that they are playing some of the best football of any team in the league right now. The only question is, can they keep it up? Finally, number 1, Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, I know, the big reveal is also a big shocker, but even though they don't have the best record, and they've lost to the Broncos, they still have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Now, you can go ahead and show me a team that can consistently beat them. I'll wait. So like I said, they have some scuff marks on them, but they have something now that they haven't had over the course of most of Patrick Mahomes' career, a legit top 5 defense. And they're holding teams to low enough numbers that even with a bad group of wide receivers, the Chiefs' offense can often do enough to secure the win. The Chiefs don't really have competition in their division like some of the other teams on here, so just like the Patriots team in the 2000s and early 2010s, they can pretty much breeze to the playoffs and save their best football for the right time. With only 3 good teams left to play on their schedule being the Eagles, the Bills, and the Bengals, their spot in the playoffs isn't really in question at this point, but rather what seed and how far will they go again. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps tremendously in growing the channel and encourages me to make more content for you guys. Be sure to put your top 5s down below in the comments section. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Well, that's going to do it for me today, but I will see you all in the next video. Stay safe out there. Bye.